Boston College has their new president, and man, am I excited.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider. Thank you all for joining us. Let's get into today's show. We're going to have three things BC has to fix about their football program in spring ball. But the big news, BC as a school has their new president, and man, am I excited about their new choice. So let's jump into that right now. We'll talk about some of the things he needs to fix in our second segment. So on Tuesday, out of the blue, I think, the Board of Trustees announced the new president of Boston College. Their 26th president will be Jack Butler. Father Jack Butler has been part of the school for a long time now. He's been the chaplain with the football team since 2010. I've talked to many different student athletes. They are very excited about this new hire. So here's how things are going to work. Jack Butler is going to be the interim president until summer of 2026 when Father Leahy actually steps down and retires. So it's going to be like a learning progress. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting really fast here. Father Jack is going to learn how the president role is going to work. He's taking a sabbatical for a little bit on his current job, but I think he'll still be around. He's going to be able to take over for Father Leahy after the end of next academic year. But you best believe that he's going to have a role in anything that's big coming up. And with college sports, that big news could happen all over the place, whether it's basketball hire, conference realignment. He's going to have a big role in all of that. Now, as I kind of jumped ahead a little here, who is Jack Butler? Jack Butler has been part of campus ministry for a long time at Boston College and has been the team chaplain for the football team since 2010. I've had multiple football players reach out to me on social media to tell me Jack Butler is one of the best men that they've ever met. I don't know how you get a better, endorsement than that. When you get players that are like, before games, he would give us speeches that got us going. And he was a guy that we could go to and we trust. That's a home run hire right here. So my thought right away, when I heard that Jack Butler was going to be the new president, this is a home run hire. You could have gone elsewhere. You could have gone to other schools to find associate presidents and all these other things. Jack Butler knows Boston College. He's been part of this program forever. This is a guy that knows the ins and outs of BC sports and the school itself, because this is not just a sports thing, but hey, this is a BC sports podcast, so that's where I'm going to go with this. But Jack Butler he is a guy from everybody I've talked to that cares deeply about BC sports. This is not going to be a hire at president that's going to come in and just take those ACC checks and let his teams stink. He is a competitive man who wants to see the best out of his student athletes. And he has all the other goods that go along with wanting to have a Jesuit as your head of your school. He's got the religious aspects. He's got the development piece. But when I think about where Boston College is at, the bottom of the ACC, they're a school that many think of as just the bottom feeder of this conference. And I think of who do you need to come in to make sure that this school is in the best position with this current change of the way college sports are going. Jack Butler was my top choice all along. I think this guy gets it. I think this guy is going to push the ideals of what Boston College sports should be about. I don't think he's going to be a president that's going to be happy with a bottom of the conference basketball program and just everything around the program being the bottom of whatever conference that they're part of. I think Jack Butler is going to see all this and push things forward. I definitely think he's going to be more progressive in terms of how he pushes sports than Father Leahy. And he's going to have a year and a half to learn about all of the way things go, because Father Butler is going to be the interim president until the end of not this school this school year. So he's going to be there until he won't be taking over till the summer of 2026. So, in the moment, I'll talk about what, things he should be looking at. But I think everything I've heard of, we have seen Father Leahy, and I'm not going to bash him because he helped us get into the ACC, which prevents us from becoming UConn in football. But you have to be realistic. Like, love the guy. He's done a number for the school, but Father Leahy has not done as much as he could in terms of getting the athletic program far enough. Now, you can look at hockey, you can look at lacrosse, you can say, yeah, those two programs are, gold standards in their respective sports. But you look at the money programs, basketball, football, to a lesser extent, baseball. All three have either been just standard, like football, or well below standard, like basketball, or kind of all over the place, like baseball. If you've listened to him speak, I've been to plenty of donor events and I've met him. Father Leahy has never pressed me as a guy that really thinks that sports is honestly that important. He'll say it. He'll say that it's important, but the money is what backs up, his words. If he's going to say that they're important but doesn't want to spend on a new head coach, that's not really that's your mouth moving and not really much coming out. So I think that age could be coming to an end with Father Butler. I think Father Butler gets BC sports. I think he gets where BC has to go for them to go forward. And I don't think there was any other options you could have gone with that would get BC where they need to be in the next couple of years. And this is a critical time in the future of this program. So congratulations to BC, because this was as big of a hire as you could make. You can talk about hiring for your football team. You can talk about hiring for your basketball team. Yeah, all those are important. But the man on top, his vision of what you're looking for your school is the most critical hire you can make, because his vision is going to influence everything you do in the future of this program. In Boston College, made a slam dunk, hit a home run, hit a slap shot for a goal, whatever you want to call it. Father Jack Butler has to have you excited about the future of BC sports. Things are going to change. Things are going to get better. The status quo that you were used to should be gone. He is going to lead this program to a higher level. He's going to put money into the program so that they are not at the bottom of the ACC anymore in any sport. They're going to be competitive. They're going to get out there and they're going to win, because that has been something I've heard from their athletes that Father Jack has made very clear. While Father Leahy has done his nice job in doing certain parts of this job, his vision of the athletics program has always been vague. I've heard him talk about it. He says all the right things, but never follows through with it. With Father Jack Butler, I think this is going to change. In a moment, some things I want to see Father Jack change as soon as he can. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms, and then waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back. Now Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation. An expert who's backed by the latest technology, which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy. While they work on your taxes, you get real-time updates on their progress, and you get the most money back, guaranteed. All while you go about your day. How are you going to beat that? With no stressing, no worrying, and no waiting. Now, this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantee. Welcome back. This is Locked On Boston College. This is AJ Black. Thank you all for subscribing to our channel on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. This is an exciting day for Boston College sports, and some of you may not even realize how important this is. This is a monumental day as Boston College has a new head, one that I trust will have Boston College at a different position in a couple years. And he can start now. He's only the interim, Father Jack Butler. He's only an interim right at this moment, but he can start to make decisions that will impact BC's future, not only in the ACC, but in the world of college sports. So if he has his druthers, if he can start to make moves, if let's just pretend Father Leahy is going to give some freedom to Father Jack Butler as he starts his new regime. What are some things that I would love to see Father Jack do as soon as possible? This is his chance to make a stamp on Boston College athletics right away. Now, I know what you're going to think, and I'm going to go with it right away. What's one program that I've talked about that has had issues for the last couple years, 15 years, that needs a change? Basketball. And I am not going with the fire Earl Grant, trope. But when we watch BC play Virginia Tech tonight at Conti Forum at 9:00, how many people are going to be at that game? How many people actually care about a team that has, last I checked, a 1.6% chance of making the ACC tournament? Not just the tournament, the ACC tournament. Father Jack has to understand that basketball is a money program. And yes, you're going to have to spend money to get out of Earl Grant's contract. But this is your chance right now. If you have a coach lined up, and that's a big if you can spend the money to go out and get a basketball coach that does what you want, and you've already had that lined up, go ahead and make that move right now. I don't care about the buyout. I don't care if it's a little bit of an expense. The money you will make back next year, Father Jack should know this, should be able to cover what you're spending if you have to buy out Earl Grant. As someone who covers this team, as someone who has the option of recording about it, let me just tell you, I have no interest in covering BC basketball right now because of two things. One, they're terrible. And all of you know that they're terrible. And two, I'm a business. I am not doing this because I just love BC. I like making money. Let's just be real here. I'm not doing this because this is a job for me. I don't record about BC 5 days a week because I just love BC. I do love BC, but I also like to make money. And every single time I lead talking about Boston College basketball, I lose money. It's a giant black void. And I would love for that to change. Just as much as you, the fans, want to see BC basketball be interesting because you don't want to spend your money to go watch them lose. It's a 9:00 game tonight on Tuesday against Virginia Tech. How many people are going to go to this? 100, 200? I'm telling you, if I had the money, I wouldn't go. They're bad. You're supporting a coach that seems like he's on the hot seat. They're terrible to watch. This is something Jack Butler has to see. Like, you need to, as the president of your university, say, this basketball program has been a joke for 15 years. You've had little tweaks here and there that like, oh yeah, that like last year. But then when you look back at it, you're going, how you had all this talent, you didn't even make the tournament. So basketball, you got to make a move there. You have to. Second, the second thing that Jack Butler has to do is look at the money piece of all of this. BC is a cash cow. Their endowment is in the billions and billions of dollars. You can't tell me that risking spending a little extra more on the coaching staff or player payouts or whatever you want isn't going to pay dividends in the future. Father Leahy never saw this. He was the only president that voted against stipends. That was a $6,000 stipend for players. Father Jack has been around players. He has seen, the football locker room. Spend the money. Spend it on staff. Spend it on, resources for your program. Just spend it. Because if you don't spend it now, the money won't be there when the ACC kicks you to the curb, when Florida State and Clemson and Miami and UNC and Virginia all leave. You got to spend it now to make your program better. It's such a simple thought, and one that I just don't get what BC's, administration doesn't get. Yeah, BC is always going to play second fiddle to the Red Sox and Bruins and Celtics and Patriots. But if you spend the money that you have, and my gosh, BC has that money, you will make a program that will get people to pay attention. So spend the money. Make sure you're not the team that has all of your coaches just poached away because you won't spend it. Spend it. That's going to be another key for Jack. I think that is so important. Now, I've gone to I go to the BC football games once a year with my family. I take my kids, we go and we watch a game. The time that I've gone from BC, with my kids to back when I was a student at BC, and I would go as a student, Alumni Forum, Alumni Stadium, Conti Forum, Kelly Rink. If you were to tell me what has changed, it would be about this much. You've had maybe some new screens or a beer wagon, or, a beer cart, sorry, or a few little things here and there, but nothing has changed. My other thing for Father Jack Butler, make it more enticing to come to a BC sporting event. We just saw this new survey that just came out. We saw this new survey that looked at all these changes that they were going to make to Alumni Stadium, whether it was club seating or, beer gardens, all these things. Do it. I don't need a new Alumni Stadium. 44,000 right now for BC is where it should be. For folks that are asking for more, you have not watched enough BC sports to understand that, that's about where things are going to be at. So when I'm looking at what Boston College could do, I'm looking at a change in Alumni Stadium. Put in those luxury box. For Conti Forum, my gosh, it has been way too long since they've had any sort of adjustment in how that place looks. Food options are terrible. Seats for basketball is meh. Either make that all hockey and then move basketball somewhere else, or just adjust the crap out of that place, because right now it's not working. So those are just a few things. Spend money. Do something about basketball, and make some adjustments to what you have. Those are my three big to-dos for Father Jack, and I trust in each one that he's going to do it. Basketball, we'll have to wait to see if he'll do it now or he's going to wait a year. But the way things are going right now, I don't know how you wait. You got to do it now. Now, in our final segment, let's get into some things I'm looking for BC football and spring camp. I'm going to talk about three quick things that I'd love to see them improve upon for next year. We'll get into all that in just a moment. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black here. Thank you all for listening, and thank you all who have subscribed and who have listened to every episode this week and last week. You guys are my MVPs. When you're done with this episode, check out Locked On ACC on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Now, let's look at BC football. BC football kicks off their spring practice for the 2025 season on March 15th, which is just under a month away. I know all of you are very excited, and I'm very excited to see who they have for visitors. But I want to look at three things that I think BC has to improve upon for next year. The first big thing that I think they need to improve upon is just their overall pass defense. 110th in the country last year in passing yards allowed per game. BC's pass defense has to get better. Amari Jackson will be back. Ashton McShane and Max Tucker will all be back at corner. You're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with your nickel. Are you going to go with Cameron Martinez, or are you going to go with someone else on your roster? Whatever you're going to do, you're going to fix that, because right now that they're opportunistic. They were 7th in the country in interceptions, but without Ray Brown, there's going to be a position they're going to have to make some adjustments with. So I want to see their pass defense in terms of how the secondary plays to get better. And I think with another year behind their belt, these guys are going to get better. Like, look at what Ashton McShane had to do last year. This was a true freshman thrown to the wolves, right out of camp. Max Tucker, he's still young. He's going to be a junior next year, and he hasn't played a whole ton. Amari Jackson missed most of last year, so a lot of chance there for things to get better. That's one thing I'm going to want to watch for. Now, this next piece that I want to see BC get better at is one you may not be honestly that familiar with, which is I want to see their run game be more consistent. Now, last year they did a lot of 3 yards and a pile of dirt. That just happened a lot. When you look at how many yards per carry that they had, they were 83rd in the country in yards per carry. And some of that was situational. Yeah, sometimes they had, 4th and 2 or 3rd and 3, and they only needed 4 yards. So they did that. But now the Kai Robichaux, who I think was good, but was a 4-yard, and that was basically it a lot of his carries. I think with this new offensive line and new running backs, you got some guys that can be more explosive. Turbo Richard should get you more along the lines of 5 yards per carry. I think that's a reasonable take from him. So I look at this team and I want to see them run the ball more consistently a little bit longer. I think that's going to take their offense to the next level, because if they can consistently run for 5 yards a carry, man, that's going to keep you moving. So Jordan McDonald, Turbo Richard, I think them running the ball a little bit more and more consistently longer is going to help Boston College. So that's my second big thing I want to see them fix. My third one, I bet you're all at home going, AJ, talk about the punting game, because that obviously is number 3. And that should be number 1, 2, and 3, honestly. Because if you have a punting game, I look at some of these teams that have punters that are consistent, that can kick the ball really well and can do it pretty far. That's game changing at times. And the way BC's offense runs, if you combined the way BC's offense worked with a punting unit that could pin back the opposition more often, they're going to win more games. I'm going to say that right now. They're going to win more games if they're going to do that more. Last year, BC won 7 games with a room full of punters that consistently made us want to vomit. So made us all want to vomit because they just could not do it consistently, and it was a huge detriment for the way this team played. This year, you got Andy Quinn. You've got Seamus Florio. One of these two has got to know how to punt. And if they can move the ball back and make oppositions go from the 20-yard line and run the field, with Tim Lewis's defense, they are going to stop them more often than not. And they could win some games. That's going to be a huge key when you're playing SMU, Notre Dame, and Clemson at home. You got to be able to punt the ball. So I'm gonna be sitting there in Fish Field, and every time they punt it, I want to whip out. I want to be like I want to be like that guy in the meme that's whipping out the chair and sitting down. I'm just hoping every time I do, it's 40 yards plus. You've had them here before. I go back to Grant Carlson. If you had Grant Carlson last year, you probably would have won 8 games, but you didn't. Now you have a new punting room. Can you fix it? Can you get better? Well, thank you all for listening. My name is AJ Black. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Check out my work at Eagle Insider. We have a whole bunch of things there. Thank you all for following, and I will see you all again tomorrow for an episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.